Hey, this is Doc Eric. Welcome to my YouTube neighborhood, the channel where I give you one mindset tip and one body set tip that you can apply directly to your life so that you can start to have a better tomorrow. Today I want to talk about the concept of an information diet, and going on an information diet sounds kind of crazy, but we're going to talk about it. So let's go ahead and jump in. So most of us today are creatures of habit. You know, we reach for our phones first thing in the morning, and what do? We're checking something, right? You might be checking social media, maybe you're checking the weather, maybe you're checking last night's news, sports scores, all those sorts of things, but we're constantly attached to our devices, and that becomes problematic because when we kind of fall into this pattern, this habit, we're losing out on life in other ways. So you're not connecting with the people around you, you're connecting with your device, and it's pretty tough to have a relationship with something like this, right? So the concept of going on an information diet, I think, serves multiple purposes, and this is something that I had heard many years ago from an entrepreneur named Tim Ferriss. He's a really cool guy. He has a great podcast. You can go ahead and check it out if you've got the time. And basically, he has a philosophy where he checks the news minimally throughout the day. He has the things that are directly impactful to his business that he focuses on the most because that's where he's at in his life. But he does not, find himself scrolling to the latest 5 seconds of news and things like that. What he does is he basically just kind of does a once over.
Hey Doc Eric, just expanding on the point that I just talked about in the video that you're watching. This is me talking to you from the future. The point I was making with the Tim Ferriss analogy is that because he's such a busy guy, he condenses the information that he gets from external news sources so that he can be as efficient as possible doing the work that he does. And that way he's not distracted by other things that could be taken away from his creative attention. And that's something that I talk about later in this video about the concept of being a creative genius. So go ahead and check out the rest of this content, and I apologize for the interruption.
Today, many of us are suffering from what I like to refer to as information overload. And basically what that means is there's a ton of information coming at us all the time through our electronic devices, through our computer screens. And basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to digest and trying to process all this information. And that's pretty much like trying to drink water from a fire hose, right? It's pretty tough to do. You're going to get it everywhere. A lot of it's going to slip past you, and you're probably going to have to refer back to it later because you didn't absorb it the first time. So why would you want to subject yourself to all of that mental punishment when you can really kind of thin out and condense where you're getting your news from, right? So a lot of us, we get our news from social media. Maybe you have a favorite website or an app that you've loaded or a web page that you refer back to easily throughout the day. But do you really need to be checking that content on an hourly basis, for example, or maybe is in the morning and the evening enough for you? One of the things that I've done for myself that I found very helpful is I really evaluated where I was getting my news from and also where I was constantly going back to. If I found myself revisiting the same websites or the same apps on my phone, I said, well, why am I doing this multiple times a day? Because it's really taking me out of my day. It's taking me out of my element. So I started to streamline everything. I picked designated times during the morning, the afternoon, and the evening so that I could focus 100% of my effort and actually pay attention to exactly what I was doing. So for example, emails, I typically check those first thing in the morning, and I'll also check them in the afternoon or in the evening if something in the morning is directly impactful to something later in the day. If not, I don't check them until the following day, because if people really need to get a hold of me, they'll call me on my phone or they'll alert me via social media messaging or something like that. Same thing with social media messaging. I don't stay attached to my phone all day throughout the day. Number one, because of the type of work that I do, but also number two, who wants to be chained to their phone and constantly looking down at their phone or constantly looking at their smartwatch to see who keeps messaging them or who likes something or got a notification or things like that. To borrow a term from my uncle-in-law, Rick Tamlin, he likes to use the word creative genius. And in his world, being a creative genius, we are all born with the innate ability to be a creative genius. We just kind of dampen that down based on the work that we do and the day-to-day stuff that we do. So we're really not present with our creativity. And for most of us, that's a problem because a lot of us have these great ideas that are floating around in our head all the time. We just don't put pen to paper and write these things down. Instead of being stifled by these devices and kind of being spoon-fed information, why not allow your own personal creativity to kind of grow, right? So you might see something on social media and you get inspired to, do something or write something down, or maybe that gives you an idea. So why not go ahead and write that down on a piece of paper, and then that way you've kind of got it blocked off and then you can go back to it later on. What are some of the ways that you can go on an information diet? One of the things that you can do is you can stagger throughout the day predetermined times when you're checking certain things, right? So you may say emails, I'm only going to check them mornings and afternoons. Social media, maybe mornings and afternoons only, right? What you want to do is you want to designate these times throughout the day where you're receiving your information or where you're delivering your information, so that way it frees you up to be creative later in the day, right? You're not stifled by anything. Perhaps you're at work and you're distracted by social media, so being distracted is kind of taking you out of your work element, and that's not cool, because it's going to make extra work for you later on in the day, because the tasks that you were supposed to get done, you now can't get done. Or you have to spend extra time later in the day to do those tasks, and that can create resentment or can stir up anxiety, and you really feel like you're behind the 8 ball, and then you just kind of go down that spiral. So the take-home message for today is I want you to play with the idea of looking at how you're designing your information world that you're either giving or that you're receiving, and see if there's anything that you can do to modify those habits and kind of stagger them so that you're the most efficient with your time. And I promise you that if you do that, you'll find that life seems to open up new doors of opportunity for you. You've created a free extra half hour in your day that you didn't think you had, but now you do, and that can allow you to be creative and do other things, other good things in the world. Okay, so there you have it. One mindset tip and one body set tip that you can apply directly to your life. In terms of this video, we talked about going on an information diet. So go ahead and try it on and let me know what you think. And finally, shameless plug moment. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and comment below to this YouTube channel, where I release content periodically throughout the week. The videos are short, they're nice and snackable, and they allow you to kind of grab the nuggets of information and see how you can directly apply them throughout the day. So until next time, stay healthy.